Chapter 31. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, and to his multitude, Whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud, and of an high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs. The waters made him great, the deep set him up on high, with her rivers running round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters, when he shot forth. All the fowls of heaven made their nests in his boughs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under his shadow dwelt all great nations. Thus was he fair in his greatness, in the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and he hath shot up his top among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height, I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out of his wickedness, and strangers, the terrible of the nations, have cut him off, and have left him. Upon the mountains and in all the valleys his branches are fallen, and his boughs are broken by all the rivers of the land. And all the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow, and have left him. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and all the beasts of the field shall be upon his branches, to the end that none of all the trees by the waters exalted themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height, all that drink water, for they are all delivered unto death, to the nether parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. Thus saith the Lord God, In the day when he went down to the grave, I caused a mourning. I covered the deep for him, and I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed. And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descend into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, all that drink water, shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. They also went down into hell with him, unto them that be slain with the sword, and they that were his arm, that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the heathen. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised, with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh, and all his multitude, saith the Lord God.
Guys, yesterday I put up a video about what looks like a massive ancient tree, and evidence of branches and leaves laying next to a huge stump. In fact, one of the leaves measured taller than the Empire State Building. I want to take you to the location now, and here we go. And the area that we are looking at is north central Madagascar, right in this area here. There are more than one example of what look like to me ancient tree stumps with quite possibly large branches and large leaves in some cases, laying next to some of these very huge structures. This is one that I showed you guys yesterday. Measure this thing and you can look at the side view even. On Google Earth here, we'll go side to side. There's the stump. 4,000 foot on this side over here, go across. A little taller on this side, about 4,150 feet. It's over 8 miles wide. We look at the miles, 8.45 miles. We could set the entire city of Nashville and all of its suburbs right there quite comfortably. If you go to the left, which would be about the 10, 11 o'clock position, all over in this area, you'll find what look like leaves and branches all over the ground. Here's an example of one here. There's many, many, many examples. This one here we're going to measure real quick, and I'll show you just to kind of put things in perspective how long that thing is compared to something that's very tall. So we'll measure from top to bottom. And we'll go in feet, 1,596 feet. That one branch is taller than the Empire State Building we showed in a video earlier, right there. I think it's the same exact branch that's on the ground, taller than the Empire State Building. And there's others. There's many others. So if you look around, you'll also find many more examples of these leaves, like right here, big, huge branches. To me, they look like something in the cedar family. Obviously, this is in a league all of its own. Nothing like what we know today. I mean, we think 200 feet's tall. Can you imagine? If this thing's got, which it does, it looks like it's got this is a pretty good example here, and that's a cedar. 8-mile wide base, look there. Good example. And that looks like, to me, a cedar. But the base of that one that I showed you is 8 miles wide. It's near a river. It would have taken a lot of water to supply a living organism that big with an 8-mile wide base. And again, the height, I couldn't even begin to speculate. It's hard to wrap your mind around something that could be that tall. And you know it had to be many miles tall. There's another example up here. Looks like yet another ancient tree stump. Got a river here. You got what look like little arteries running through it. I'm sure at one time those supplied water to a very tall structure, which is right here in north central Madagascar. If you go over here to the west coast of Madagascar, you'll find yet another, what looks like to me, a very good example of a tree, or what used to be an old tree. This is the stump. You've got the primaries, which are the rivers. That's its primary source of water, probably right next to the roots, and the root systems go probably many miles deep. We'll measure this one for perspective purposes just from edge to edge. 8.5 miles long. It's about the same size as the one next door. Let's measure its side height. Go from here to here. There you go. And there's your structure. It goes up about 1,175 feet. And it's 8.5 miles across. It's got 2 rivers and a lot of secondaries that fed it water at one time. You'll also find in this area, if you look close, they're a little harder to see. There's other examples over here, what to me looks like once was an old tree, old tree, old tree. I just showed you one over on the left. If you look closely in this area here to the left of this big structure, you'll find what look like occasionally some sort of a large seed that is laying next to a branch or a leaf, like in this case here. There are examples if you look closely, and those things are like 27 feet wide in some examples. But here's another picture of the landscape that you'll find next to that stump that I shared with you guys yesterday, and to me that's undeniable. Those are some sort of leaves from a big tree from long, long ago. And you know, Earth is a fascinating place, and this is just one of the many fascinating aspects of our planet. So enjoy, guys. That's on Google Earth, once again, in central Madagascar. There are more than one example in this area. Have fun looking around. Thanks for watching. Have a super day. Be safe out there.